Welcome to Behind the Camera, a show dedicated to the producers, directors, technicians, and all the people who bring the images of sport to your television every night. I am your host, Uncle Jesse. On today's episode, I sit down with a friend of mine, Judd Mazur. He's a camera operator here in town. But before I get to that, this is my fourth episode, so I have to tell the story behind the Uncle Jesse name. My name is not Uncle Jesse. My name is Eric, and anyone who knows me knows that. I have many nicknames I've accumulated over the years. But I think Uncle Jesse has to be my favorite nickname. I got it from my colleagues on college football. So it's 2013. I get invited to come do college football when Fox launched it. I'm brand new to a crew that's been doing NFL together for years. I don't know these guys. I don't know any of them. I ride over from the airport with the Fox box operator, and he invites me to dinner. So I figure, sure, I mean, what better way to get to know the crew guys than to go to dinner? So we get ready, we go to dinner, we're in Waco, Texas, and I can't even remember the place we went, but we go to this bar and we have some dinner. So we pull up, there's two cars, and I get out of the car with Eddie and with some of the other guys, and then out of the other car comes a group of camera guys, and one guy is clearly had a few drinks, and he wraps his arms around me and he says, "Jesse, you think I'm a racist?" I don't know what prompted the question. I didn't know him. I didn't know anything about him. I assumed he wasn't, but I don't know. It's an interesting question for someone to introduce themselves to you with. So I went along with it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who you are. And one of the other guys, just looks at him and he says, I don't think that's his name. He doesn't know my name. We've just met. But he's like, hey, leave him alone. The guy's new. So for the rest of the night, he kept calling me Jesse. I don't know what got in his brain. I don't know. I don't look like John Stamos, so I'm not sure what was in his mind. So the next day, I decided to pull a prank on him. This time, I'm going to put in the monitor wall for my name. So in the wall of monitors in a TV truck, every operator's name is under whether their camera, their tape machine, whatever. So I decide in the monitor wall, instead of my name, I'm going to put Jesse. Producer walks in and says, "What is that about?" I said, "Just go with it." So we're in the middle of the game, first quarter, whatever it was, do a replay, and the director looks down and he goes, "Jesse? We don't have a Jesse on this crew." And every camera guy at the same time opens their key, laughing, and poor guy is so apologetic, and the rest of the game. So then I get Uncle Jesse, because now the director's going to take it to the next level, because I don't look like John Stamos, but why not? So now I'm calling me Uncle Jesse. For the rest of the season, they call me Uncle Jesse. And so the name's made its way around. The best part was about week 7, camera guy pulls me aside, like not quite in tears, but really shaken, and he's just like, "I am so sorry I did that," and just apologizing up and down. And to this day, I tell him it is the greatest moment of my career, because I have never laughed so hard. I felt so right in the family with that crew that have been together, and we're all good friends to this day, and some of them run camera for me as a director. And so we live in a very small world, but it's just so much fun, the things we do in the truck. And those are the times that I remember, that I enjoy. I mean, the games are great. I've had some great moments, but it's those moments at the restaurant. It's those moments when you meet new people. It's those times when you just laugh, and we are a road family. On today's show, I sit down with Judd Mazur. He's a camera operator in Phoenix, Arizona. He works Diamondbacks home baseball as well as college football for Fox Sports. Judd, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. So how did you get into sports television, the crazy adventure that is what we do?
So I was originally how I got into this business is at Arizona State University. I joined the broadcasting program in late '89. I transferred from Iowa State, completely different major, and got a job working at Channel 8 ITFS. And what happened was one day a fellow colleague of mine said, "Hey, we need some extra people for a Arizona State game coming up here, and would you like to just be on the field and help out?" And I did, and that was my first foray into production, so to speak. I was a utility, didn't know anything, didn't know what I was doing, and but it was a great experience. Loved being right there next to the action on the field. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. So fast forward about 20 years, and you're doing American Ninja Warrior. I mean, from utility at ASU to one of the biggest shows on NBC. And how did you get hooked up with Ninja?
Well, originally, worked my way in, obviously became a handheld, did a lot of college football, obviously, and worked with a director a long time ago, and always been a good colleague and a good friend, Pat McManus, and gave me a call about 7-8 years ago and said, hey, we need somebody to try this show out. We need a couple of sports guys. And so he hired me and a couple other guys that he worked with on his football package, along with, the 18 or more Hollywood camera people. And so that was kind of how I got into that.
My family and I are huge fans of the show. And in 2015, someone finally climbed the rope. In fact, 2 guys climbed the rope. What was that like when you guys were shooting it? I mean, you guys, I don't know, most people don't know, you shoot early in the year and it airs later. And so for one, you kind of have to keep a secret for a couple of months. But also, I mean, they both climbed the rope and it was fractions of a second that was the difference between $1 million and second place.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a great moment at the time. And what we were, basically after we were done shooting that, we were told, obviously no social media, nobody could tell what happened, and nobody could say anything to anyone, and we kind of kept it on the, on the low. And so it was pretty amazing. By that time, and that was in Las Vegas, it was a long 10 days. And I think the production crew and everybody was exhausted. We shoot overnights. I think anybody knows anything about the production schedule, it's pretty grueling. It's a, crucible. And by the end of that, I think we were all just happy that somebody won. The producers came through and, claimed a winner. And it was cool. But we're also happy that it was over. From our perspective.
Yeah.
But it was, we also knew it was very exciting for the fans at home.
So rewind a few decades, and 2001, Diamondbacks, team we work for, well, not right now, but normally year in, year out, we're working for them throughout the summer. In 2001, They made that epic run to the World Series. What was that regular season like for the crew, for the home crew? I mean, the playoff crew kind of comes in, they do the postseason, they get to experience the hype, but you guys get to do 80 home games, and you watch that team throughout the season. I mean, did you know they were going to go to the World Series? Did it have that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, we had the right pitchers in place. I think, you had the 1-2 with Johnson, Schilling. You had a lot of key role players. Brenly was great. I mean, he knew how to manage those guys and let them play. It was fun. I mean, we didn't, nobody knows going into the season what's going to happen, but it didn't seem quite magical. But I tell you, it just towards the end, you're kind of thinking, okay, they did this, and then when they beat St. Louis. And then it went from there. It was just, then it became really kind of, wow, this could happen. So I wasn't there at the time. I was committed to college football with Fox Pac-10 football. Oh, wow. And so I wasn't, everybody asked, well, what's that like? We're at the game. I was never at the game. So I was a fan watching, believe it or not.
So is that nice to be on the road working college football and then be able to enjoy it as a fan instead of, you still got to focus, you got to shoot. Like shooting playoffs and working playoffs is actually hard for us because you really can't enjoy it because you're working. Yeah. Like you enjoy the moment, you enjoy the atmosphere, but you're working. Yeah. So you got to be paying attention and you can't just sit back and enjoy the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would stand. I mean, it was crazy because it was, obviously post 9/11. And I know the whole nation was going, or at least most of the nation was going for the Yankees, I think, because just for that fact of that post 9/11, and we were here in Arizona, and it was exciting, and it was obviously it's got to be one of the best series ever, within our lifetime because of all the drama and what happened, and I think it ended here in November, and it was crazy. I mean, when we saw Jay Bell score that winning run after Luis Gonzalez bloop, I mean, it was insane. And, just remarkable, really cool.
So you mentioned you did college football for Pac-10. You eventually found yourself on the show, the ABC Saturday Football Show. What did you do on that show, and what are some of your favorite memories along the way?
To start off, doing the 2006 National Championship, Texas, USC, one of the greatest college football games ever, I think. Obviously a little biased, but it was an outstanding game. Obviously it came down to the wire. It was a bunch of Rose Bowl. The 100th Rose Bowl was cool. Being part of that, being at the coin toss with Vin Scully was kind of cool. I asked him later, I said, hey, Vin, just try to pull him aside, after he walked off and we had a break there. I said, what did you think? Was that pretty cool? And he's like, I am so amazed. This is so fun. I'm so honored. And he was like a little kid. It was really cool. And that was cool. That was one of the good moments. Lots of great national championship games. It's just it's a blur because, as you know, as us freelancers, we go from job to job to job. And I've been known as that guy that does I did the national championship and the next day I'm doing a Coyotes game. So it all kind of blends in after a while. But yeah, great moments. Mainly great camaraderie with the crew, great group of people.
As a handheld operator being down on the field, what's the game like for you? I mean, a lot of the camera operators are on hard cameras, they're on a platform, they're up in the stands, but you're right on the field, running around trying to get those great moments. What is the atmosphere like on the field of college football?
It's hard to imagine or hard to describe. You need to give it to somebody, but it is you feel really hyper connected to the field. It's nothing else that anybody's ever experienced. I mean, you're right there and you're literally feet away from the coaches, from the players, from the plays. It's really fun. I mean, it's really how I always ramp up to it, obviously. And then after a while you get used to that. But I think the run out is exciting. I always told my directors, I said, the run out is always just gets you charged because they're charged. And so it's just hard to describe, but it's cool. I mean, it really is. And anybody that's ever been on the field, even if you're just a photographer or you'll catch somebody on the sideline, they just can't, this is amazing, and occasionally in my career as a handheld, I'd sit there or at the Rose Bowl and as the sun's setting, just going and just taking a moment and just going, this is really cool. I mean, how lucky am I? So I think that's par for the course for a lot of us camera operators, even if you're just there, even if you're camera 1 or camera 26, to be at an event like that is really cool.
Is there one shot you got that stands out to you in your career shooting all that college football?
I would say I wasn't even part of a package at the time. I think I was working, I did the national championship in 2003. I think it was, Miami, Ohio State. It was kind of a fluke. And, I was one of the handhelds on the near side. We usually have on those configurations, they usually have 4 handhelds. So they have a game and another handheld to cover mostly the benches or color, whatever. So I was the secondary handheld on the Ohio State sideline. And I was running down to get the goal line shot. And the other handheld, he went around the corner, which he normally does. And I got caught. My cable got caught and I was trapped. I couldn't go anywhere, right? So I'm actually at the edge of the coach's box. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I have nothing to shoot. The action's going away. There's a million cameras shooting action. So I thought, what the heck? I'm going to ISO Jim Tressel. And I just sat there and I actually looked at him at one time. He was close to me. Obviously Jim Tressel, the sweater vest. And I actually at one point was like, hey, coach, just kick me out. And he's like, no, you're fine. So I just sat there and ISO'd him. And I just ISO'd him and then went to overtime and I just shot reactions of him. And I think that was just one thing that just sticks out. And that probably helped me, forge my career right there from that. It's always something like that. And it's just a matter of luck, dumb luck. And like I said, my cable was completely caught up. I could not go anywhere. I was trapped. And a couple of colleagues you and I work with were my utilities. And it was cool.
Life as a handheld operator isn't always those amazing moments. Sometimes you have some not so amazing moments. What is it like trying to shoot a marching band on the field at halftime? They always like to show the marching band, and so they run all the cameras out on the field, and you had your fair share of adventures doing that.
Yes, so it was actually pregame. So I'm at Ohio State, and I have an RF camera. So I've got a wide angle. I've got a 4.7. So, and I've got this thing mapped up. This saxophone player, I get up right up next to him and he dots the I and he does the old like this. And I didn't hear the audio at the time. And he says, look out. Wow. Well, it looked really bad, I think we had one of my colleagues, camera 1 was John Lubash at the time, and he was shooting me, he was ISOing me. And if you saw the shot, it doesn't look that bad. It looks just like I got crushed. And it actually hit the front end of my shroud. and I didn't give enough space, and that's why they don't use wide angles in boxing, I guess. And so it just looked really bad, and so it was kind of funny. And people came up to me like, "What were you doing?" You know, and my director at the time, Derek Mobley, was like, "Are you serious, dude?" He's like, "Judley, what are you?" He's just like laughing. So I was all over like the news shows and like, this guy, look at this. And then, you know, the internet's like, look at this moron camera. You know, I'm like, that's me. But it was just bad spacing for me, you know, but it was funny. But consequently that year, Ohio State went to the Rose Bowl, and I got a picture of him and I like this, like, hey, we're laughing. The whole Ohio State band recognized me too. So, but that was probably my crowning achievement, one of many. Yes. But I think it's funny. I mean, I think it's fun, laugh at myself for that anyway. And so if I go down in history like that, I suppose I do.
Well, you'll go down in history for a lot more things than that. Speaking of history, what is one of your favorite moments you've ever done in television or even experienced that you've been on the road?
Best. Okay. So like been like, you know, a role player on some large games, whatever, name it. You know, done spelling bee, done X Games, been some cruel moments there, done a lot of different stuff. But in 2010, I was very fortunate to be a part of the broadcast crew that covered men's hockey. It was really tough. It was like we do 3 games a day. So you start at 9:00 and you end at like 10:30 at night. Well, it was funny because I actually loved every second of it. It was just tough. And we literally get like a 20-minute break in between matches, if you guys remember. And so Olympic hockey, when they had the pros play, it wasn't amateurs, you know, in 2010, it was in Vancouver, and the hockey was awesome. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, when we got back from that and came back and did a Coyotes game 2 weeks later, a week later, it's like, oh my God, these guys they're dragging it. They're playing so slow. The level of intensity and competition is elite. And it was so cool. And just the crowning achievement was the, you know, USA Canada. That was cool to be there. I mean, it was amazing. Just sat there and on my camera and just looked around, and all the sweet, you know, obviously the place is going nuts. And, you know, it was basically who's who of Canada was there. You know, I'm looking over, you know, there's the Prime Minister and, of course, Wayne Gretzky. But, you know, in here in the States, yeah, whatever. But there, it's like, wow. So it was really cool, man. It was, yeah, that was definitely my most favorite moment, being a freelance camera operator. And to this day, I'm trying to find the other one, and there's a couple, but that Above and Beyond was really cool. Very, very humbled and honored to be a part of it.
It was an amazing game. It was a tough loss for the Americans, but hey, it was still a great, amazing game. I mean, couldn't have asked for a better game. The Canadians were happy, but
sure.
Well, thank you for sitting down, taking the time with me. Stay safe during these times. Hopefully we get back to doing some baseball soon. And
yeah, man,
it's going to be crazy in our industry if this all happens all at the same time. So
yeah, let's hope.
In the meanwhile, stay safe with your family, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
For more information on terms you've heard today or to watch past episodes, visit BehindTheCameraPodcast.com. We'll see you next time.